This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, let's talk a little Inter-Miami. Host of Miami Total Football, he is Franco Panizo. He's been covering, of course, Inter-Miami from day one when it wasn't so sexy. Now it's incredibly sexy, and there he is, looking sexy. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
Really good, bro. I've been pushing the Fusion and Miami FC and then Strikers and then Inter and I'm like a kid in a candy store, bro. I'm like one of the few electronic media members that has always been a huge supporter of local soccer, and to watch that local soccer in Miami matters all around the world, not just South Florida. I'm like a kid in a candy store, dude. I am so happy that this sport is getting the love that it deserves here in South Florida and all over the world, bro. It's really cool. Really
It
cool.
only took the greatest player of all time, arguably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know what? You need watershed moments in order for things to catch on, for that to start that fire, as Billy Joe would say. And so, Messi starts that fire, and the question is now, Franco, do we have Gordon Geckos owning other MLS teams? And what I mean by that, if you didn't watch the movie Wall Street, then you don't know who Gordon Gecko is, and you don't know who Michael Douglas is, and the big speech when he said greed is good, and how he, that speech that's infamous in that movie. And so I'm wondering, other owners going, well, wait a minute, if we bring our own star, maybe we can add a third level to this stadium. All those kind of things start roaming through their minds. So will greed step in to the MLS because of what the Moss brothers have pulled off?
Uh, it's a good question. I mean, there's going to be more spending for sure. Now, how extreme that spending gets is, to be determined. I mean, MLS has always been a league that's done it slow and steady, as opposed to just going, from one extreme to the next. So,
The
uh,
Moss
Tom,
brothers, the Moss brothers don't know slow and steady.
well, so that's, I imagine the rules are going to change. I just don't imagine they'll change super drastically. Like I think there will be changes and there'll be notable changes. I don't know if it'll be drastic though. And Don Garber recently was asked about this in an interview. I think it was before the Leagues Cup final, actually, if I'm not mistaken, over there in Nashville, which I attended. And he was asked about that, and he kind of was like, "Oh well, do we just blow it all up and start from scratch?" I'm paraphrasing. Blow it all up and start from scratch, or do we continue to go through our process of slow and steady progress? Which, I mean, reading between the lines, it sounds like they're going to stick to their MO and do it their way. Again, but noting that there will be changes. I mean, that's for sure that there's got to be changes coming up.
All right, before I get into all the beautifulness that happened yesterday, let me just ask you about the questionables part, because you tweeted out at that first half they got their asses kicked. They got absolutely dominated. Did Data have like this extra level of respect for Cincinnati, which of course they are the best team in the league, and by the way, they made two of their three goals were golazos. All right, so they played their asses off. They were really good yesterday. But why did he change the formation? Was it a respect factor that he feared their offense a little bit more, and that's why he needed more in the back line? Because obviously that took them out of sync. Plus, of course, playing 86 games in 5 nights doesn't help you either. They're dead tired. So walk me through the reasoning with all of that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he talked yesterday post game about being mindful of their three forwards and trying to counteract that. And so he switched the formation. Now I think he also switches the formation because of the personnel, right? Because he rested some players, and with that, new players came in, right? Like Tomas Aviles, the new Argentine center back. He started next to Sergio Christoph and Kamal Miller. Um, did he need to come in necessarily? I mean, they could have gone like for somewhere else, but I think he wanted to introduce new players into the fold, also take into account the opponent, and that led to the formation change. Now, it didn't work. I don't know if they got dominated in the first half. They just didn't play well in the first half. Like, it's not like not like FC Cincinnati created a boatload of chances and Drake Counter was called upon to make a bunch of saves. It's just not the Inter Miami we've been used to seeing
By
over
the
the
way,
past few weeks.
on this show, he's Mr. Impossible. Drake
Mr.
Counter.
Impossible.
Yeah, because he does the impossible. It's just who he is, bro. He comes up with a block when you need it. I mean, he is Mr. Impossible, bro. He's awesome. I mean, really.
He has come into his own this season, and
He's
especially in this last month. I mean, he's really shown the strides he's made, even like just on small things. Like I'm trying to think if it was the Nashville game. No,
dude,
I think it was last.
he's the second most important player on the team.
Well, last night I don't know about second most important player, but
Um,
listen,
come
Messi and Busquets make the team tick. If you
Yeah,
if you don't have them,
you're not here without Messi, but you're also not here without Calendar. Let's just be
sure, but,
honest.
I mean, listen, Busquets isn't
I know.
sexy.
Busquets' passes are freaking. He's an artist, bro. I love it, dude. Trust me. I know we've had no midfield play here for years. We had to use a guy on the left side in the first couple of years to be your point guard almost. There was no playing. So trust me, I embrace Busquets and Messi and the vision that they have. I love what I see from. But bro, without Calendar, oh my god, that guy's been awesome, bro. Awesome.
I'm not saying I'm not denying that. I'm not denying
Oh,
that. I just don't know if he's the second most important player because without Busquets, Messi doesn't get the ball as much, and without Messi
I
getting
know.
the ball as much, you're
Yeah.
not any. But no, to the point. His development. You can even see it in small things and like little things. There's one play last night where he receives a pass, not under a lot of pressure, but there's some Cincinnati players around him, and he on the one time with his his left foot, played it out to the right, which was not something you would see from Drake Callender in the past. He would struggle with passing out of the back. It's still not his strength. It's still not his forte, but you can see that he's getting better with it.
Yeah. All right. So last night, dude, dead legs and all, because you can tell that they're a little dragging already at this point. And by the way, Messi playing all 120 minutes plus the extra time, so it's like 130 minutes plus. Amazing, for him to do that. Just the comeback, bro. It looks so bleak at 2-0. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? I thought, that was, brother, every time you think they can't paint a nicer picture, they come up with a new masterpiece. It's just awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you can't count him out, man. You can't count him out. It didn't look good at 2-0. When that free kick happened, I was watching it from home, and I was like, all right, they got to score here. They have to score here. Like, they need to pull one back to give themselves a chance during this final quarter of an hour. And they scored, and then that gave them enough life to pull one in stoppage time, with Messi, orchestrating both of those assists, Campana getting on the end of it, which he wasn't asked, but, he responded, right? He responded to the terrible miss he had in the Leagues Cup final, where he could have won the game, and he shoots it wide. So, the fact that he was able to respond in that manner with 2 goals in his start, kudos to him for bouncing back and not dwelling or sulking on a personal big miss a few days earlier. So, I mean, I've said this now for about a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Because Inter Miami's won some of these games without playing particularly well, right? Like Messi has his moments of magic, and it's jaw dropping and eye opening, and it's fascinating, and gets you off your seat. But the team at times hasn't played particularly well. That being said, I think that this team is going to be very difficult to beat when Messi is on the field, because even when they don't play well, they still manage to cause damage to opposing teams, and they still manage to get results, right? Like, if these were regular season games, they wouldn't have gone to extra time. They would have ended in draws, whatever. But those are still results away from home. Like, nobody has yet beaten this team. So, I mean, if you can do that without playing well, I mean, that speaks well to you, because then when you do play well, who's going to stop you? I mean, it's going to take literally near perfection from an opposing team to beat this team. Now, Messi and the like are likely to get some rest in the coming games, so that's a bit of a different story, because if Messi's not on the field, Busquets not on the field, I mean, you're talking about a different team. You're talking more of a team that was similar to the one, or more similar to the one that we saw during the first half of the MLS season, which is
Although they
beatable
may,
team.
well, wait a minute, but you got the youngins that you're adding, the 20-year-olds. You're going to get Gregory back. You got Mota back. Martinez now is playing with a little bit more confidence, and everybody's playing with a little bit more confidence. And let me add something else. Campana is staying healthy. And you and I and the rest of the Inter fans, the original ones, not the bandwagon that jumped on now, but the original ones, we always saw that Campana had the skills, but he couldn't stay healthy. And last night's performance was outstanding in his performance over the last couple of weeks, and he's staying healthy. So if a healthy Campana and Martinez can be on the pitch, you can kind of defend yourself, and maybe this team will be a little better than the team that we were watching earlier this season. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of think
Maybe a little bit better, but I mean, I feel like that's putting a lot on the shoulders of the newcomers, because I mean, who's going to create? Who, like, right? That was the team's problem before
Yeah.
Messi got here, was who creates for the strikers, who's creating the plays and the chances. I mean, you take Messi out of that lineup, who's doing it? I mean, you're going to say Facundo Farias, for as much promise as he has, he's going to be that guy that's going to be the fulcrum of the attack and the catalyst that
you
things
think
go through.
You think Kramashi can help out a little bit there in the midfield?
I mean, Kramaski is just a hard worker, man. He provides you industry and
Okay.
range, and he's a ball-winning machine.
A facilitator of the play is what you're saying.
He's
That
not
he
he's not
keeps
he's not a
flow.
creator. He's not,
Okay.
although he did play a heck of a pass yesterday to Joseph Martinez for the assist, but that's not like his bread and butter, by and large, against a defense that's sitting, in an organized block, right? Like that's not who he is as a player, at least at this point in his career. So, I see it hard without Messi in them, for Inter Miami to keep that level.
Oh
This
no, they're not
weekend,
going to keep the level. I'm just thinking better than what we were watching prior. I just think with all the success they've
I
had,
mean,
plus
that will help.
they have
That will
Tata.
help.
Yeah, bro. And if you get Gregory back, then that's also going to help your
See,
defense and
so
all.
I have questions about that, though. I have questions about that because, like, I don't know how well. Like, I don't know if I put Gregory back into the starting lineup. Like, me personally, I don't know. Like,
Really?
Dixon
Oh,
Arroyo fulfills his function. I think what they ask him for Dixon Arroyo, well, like, I think he's done a very good job quietly, but he's done what he's asked to do. I don't think Gregory, even though he's probably a better destroyer and a better, pit bull terrier in the middle of the park that's going to chase you down and win balls and tackle. I don't know if he gives you the same type of technical abilities on the ball to play in Tata style, which is to build out of the back and build up between the lines and then get to the final third and create chances. I don't know if Gregory has that in his repertoire. So. I'm curious to see what happens to Gregory. I mean, he hasn't been out at training the last couple of weeks. We haven't seen him. We had seen him at points for a little bit, but then
yeah.
as of late, haven't seen him out on the field. So I don't know if he's had a setback or if he's doing something else, or I don't know. We haven't got much information there yet, but be curious to see what happens when he does return to the mix for Inter Miami. For me, I don't know if he's an automatic shoe-in to return to the starting lineup.
All right, so they don't have the final until the 26th, so it's a long time. But dude, all these games now, it's Saturday and Wednesday, and they got so many games. What's Tata going to do? Are you expecting Messi to start, or are you expecting Messi to start and play a short time, or come off the bench in the 70th minute or something like that? Because at one point or another, you're going to have to start resting Messi. I mean,
Yeah,
I was so impressed that he has played all these minutes, dude. And last night he stayed on the pitch for the entire game. I have been really, I mean, like, he didn't come here to screw around. Like, he is really playing with his teammates and supporting his teammates. I'm super impressed with that.
Yeah, Messi normally, when he starts, he doesn't come off. So it's par for the course for him in his career. I forget which game it was here early on in the Leagues Cup that he started in. He asked for the substitution because it was early on. He wasn't yet at the fitness levels he's at now. So he asked for the sub, which was a rare moment for him. And it, made the rounds on social media just because it's not common for him to come out or ask to be subbed out. I do think that he gets rested on Saturday, which I know is not going to be a lot of good news for
New York.
fans and
I know, man. Yankees and the Mets.
resellers and
Yeah, the Yankees suck, the Mets suck, and now you get no Messi. Ha ha ha.
well, I think he'll play. Maybe he'll come off the bench. You'll get him for like 20, 25 minutes, but I don't think he starts. Last night I think you could tell. Yes, you give FC Cincinnati their props and their
Oh, yeah.
kudos, and Their respect for doing their job on him and not letting him score. It's the first team that has not let him score since he's arrived. That being said, he still got 2 assists. But you could see in extra time his impact faded, right? Like he almost wasn't on the ball very much in that extra time, and that's because you can tell he's tired. He's fatiguing. Those are heavy legs he's playing under. He's not the only one. I rewatched the Leagues Cup final a few nights ago, as I do with every Inter-Miami game, to get a better analysis of it. And Busquets was mishitting routine passes that you expect him to make, and I think that just comes down to tired legs. And I asked Tata last night about Messi and the weekend and playing another game on short rest after such a heavy burden of games, a heavy load of games over the last few weeks. And Tata said, Leo, like many other players, is reaching a physical limit. From this point forward, we have to assess at least how we approach the next 3 games. So at least the next 2 games, to me, that tells me, listen, he's probably not starting this weekend. You'll likely see him. He'll probably still compete 20, 25 minutes, but Inter Miami's likely going to have to figure out a way to make do without him for much of that game.
Yeah, man. And by the way, did they get a break? Because Real Salt Lake is the better team, right? Than Houston.
No.
You don't think so?
No, Houston's got a little more difference-making ability, I think. The good news is for Inter Miami, they get to play at home, which is a major plus. It's not going to be a Hard Rock. It's going to be a dry state.
Lucho here is bragging about Carrasquilla, that they're going to have to worry about Carrasquilla.
Carrasquilla is one of the danger men, right? Like Inter Miami will go into that final a heavy favorite, all things considered. But if there's one player to watch for on Houston, it's Carrasquilla for sure.
All right. So you think they're better than Real Salt Lake?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. All right. I like that. All right. When we look at what do you see ahead now? Are there any other moves left, or are they kind of tapped out for this season?
They're tapped out. I think that the window's closed. They could sign a free agent, but I think that they're tapped out. This is the team the rest of the way. Tata's even talked about we have the whole group in now. So I don't think there's any more additions. I do think Luis Suarez will be here in 2024. It's not inside information. It's just my sensation and supposition from the outside. I think he'll be here, and he'll add another dynamic up top. What that means for Campana and or Joseph Martinez, to be determined. I don't think they'll both be back next year, but now we'll see how the season finishes, how they both do, if they keep up, how they played, if they can repeat how they played.
What's the contract situation with Joseph and Campana? Campana's got a multi-year deal, right?
Yeah, but you can sell him. You can sell it. It's MLS. There's also MLS. You could trade him. You can. Joseph Martinez.
I just have a hard time watching them give up on Campana. I can see them trading Joseph because he's a little older.
Well, Joseph's deal, I think, is through this year, and then there's an team option for next year. So, okay. I don't know if he sticks around. But again, it just depends because, Messi's had a good relationship with him on the field. They seem to get along well off the field. That being said, Joseph Martinez does command a good bit of money, which, unless rules change drastically between now and then, going back to the initial question, then how do you afford to keep Joseph, right? When you have 3 DPs, probably going to bring in Suarez. So, we'll see how it all unfolds. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But
will they give everybody in the league ear protectors with Suarez there?
I think those days are behind him, although you never know.
Okay, all right. I don't know. He's kind of like an infant, with all the biting and stuff. So it's you got to be careful with Suarez. It's ears. Be careful. All right, around.
Vampiro.
All right. So, do they win on Saturday?
No, I think it's the first loss since Messi
Wow.
arrived.
So the Mets suck. The Yankees suck. They don't get Messi, and they lose. That's awesome. Kind of like that.
No. I think Inter Miami loses. I think the Red Bulls win.
Oh no, I don't want to hear that. Really? Wow. Damn.
That's what I think.
So this whole crunch, while it's been a blessing, you've put yourself in position to win 2 trophies. You've won 1 already. Has it been a curse? Because it could be what stops you from making the MLS playoffs because of the burden that you have put on your bodies to get there.
I don't know if it's a curse. They won the first trophy in franchise history, which is significant enough.
The blessing is The blessing is winning the trophies. If they
I mean,
win
it was always an
I'm
outside
saying,
chance to make the
is it a
playoffs.
curse? Is it a curse that you had to crunch all those games in a short amount of time, and then it puts a burden on you because, dude, you gotta play near perfect to get into the MLS playoffs. That's why I say it's
No, I
kind of
understand. I understand what you're saying. I mean, I just like I don't view it the same way because like the playoffs were a long shot from the beginning. They were a long shot, and Tata Martino recognized that when his initial press conference when he signed on. You know, he said
shit,
the
but they've
playoffs
won
are
8 in a row. How can it be a long shot now at this point, dude?
sure, but a lot of those games were at home. And listen, 3 of those games they won via penalty kicks or they advanced via penalty kicks.
They have
Right?
who? They no,
But
no,
there's
no,
no
no.
penalty kicks in the regular season. There's no penalty kicks in the regular season.
But
So those
they have who? They have Mr. Impossible. So you can't be surprised with that.
But there's no penalty kicks in the regular season. So if the game ends in a draw, then they at one point that's not helping them make up a whole lot of ground. They have to win 8 to 9 out of the remaining 12 games, which is a massive task. I mean, there's also games going to be played during the international breaks over the next 2 months. Messi, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, will miss at least one game because InterMiami will play through one of those international breaks. So that's one game he's not going to be around for. You got to take into consideration he's going to get rested in some other games. I mean, 8 to 9 wins out of 12 is a high barometer. And yes, they've played well during this last month and a half, but that's with Messi starting every game. That's with a lot of games being at home, not as much travel. And again, there's games that they've won via penalty kicks that ended in a draw in regulation. So if it was regular season, that's just 1 point. So not a chance to continue on it and advance and win and have the trauma that we've seen. So it's always a tough ask. It was always going to be a tough ask. And I mean, listen, it's not impossible. You know, to use your word, it's not impossible. Is it likely? I mean, I don't think so. I think winning 2 cups would be satisfactory enough for where this team was, a couple months ago.
Amen.
Now,
Amen.
if going into 2024 with a full preseason under your belt, Messi being there from the start, et cetera, then I think, yeah, of course you have to make the playoffs. Of course you need to be a contender
God,
for
yes.
the MLS Cup.
Please.
Absolutely. But
You better make the
this
playoffs.
yeah, but this year I mean, they're gonna go for it. They're gonna do their best, but I just think it's a long shot.
Next year, you better not just make the playoffs. You better be one of the top 2
They gotta be a
seeds.
contender. They gotta be a contender.
You gotta
I
be
mean,
a top 2 seed, bro. Period. Not
realistically,
3.
they should win.
1 or 2.
Realistically, next year it's win or bust. Win or bust. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it's MLS Cup or bust. Because I mean, that's the talent level that they have. I mean, they have a great coaching staff. I mean, there's no excuse. There's no reason for them not to be hoisting that trophy. There's other good teams, but the expectation should be next year that they win MLS Cup.
It's gonna be awesome. All right, follow him on Twitter at Franco Panizo. Tell them about Miami Total Football and where they can watch and subscribe.
Yeah, it's the podcast. It's now a video podcast, so we do this type of thing now on YouTube at MIA Total
Took you
Football.
a long time. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? Come on.
It took me a while to get with the program, but now I'm having a different dilemma, which I actually enjoy the video aspect much more because it's live and I don't have to do any post production and all this other time consuming stuff that the podcast did. And I love the social interaction with people that are tuning in live and commenting. I love that. But now I'm having a hard time finding co-hosts who can consistently be on because everyone's got like their other things pulling at them and now they can't be on live and they got to do their makeup or their whatever. So now it's proving a little bit more difficult in that regard. I want to do a show tonight, but no one's around to do one tonight. So I'm like, well, how are we not going to do one between, this big comeback that led to another final and Saturday's game? But it looks like it might not happen. So that's the one challenge I'm finding. I guess I'm gonna have to go solo like you.
Hey, brother, 33 years of it. You can do it, man. You can grind it out. There's nothing wrong with that. Just keep grinding and keep working at it, and you'll fine tune it, and you'll be fine on your own. It's not a big thing. Just got to work at it. That's all it is. So make sure you all subscribe to Miami Total Football so you can keep up with Inter Miami. Franco does an excellent and objective job. So make sure you follow him on Twitter also at Franco Panizo. Franco, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you immensely.
Thank you, bro. Good to talk to you.
You got it. There you go. Franco Panizo getting it done for us right here on the program. Talking a little Inter Miami. Great win last night. God, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.